Yo, guys, did you hear? Did you hear Zach Snyder just signed a $50 million contract to go fuck up Thundercats?
Yes! I'm actually in the casting for that. That's why I did my hair a little different this episode.
I got
You're gonna be Snarf.
Yeah,
y'all gonna help for that. Y'all gonna leave Zach alone.
What he's gonna do is he's gonna take Panthro and Chitara and put them to the background so he can focus more in on the relationship between Snarf and Snarfer.
Mm-hmm.
And that really.
I thought Josh Whedon was going to do that.
Yeah.
So I had Chitara fall on Snarf this time, though.
Yeah.
He's gonna work with the people that did Cats.
Yeah. He's gonna bring on the entire Cats team.
Because that's what we need. Because that's exactly what we need right now. That'd be perfect.
I think that we do.
So I actually borrowed that one from an old publication called The Onion, if anyone remembers that. It was they were doing that for James Cameron.
Wow.
I just changed it.
I'm triggered.
I thought I'd put my position on the Snyder Cut out early.
There you go. Just come out swinging, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even do news this week.
Nah.
Let's just get into it with this Snyder. I mean, 4 hours.
We got 4 hours to get through. That's a lot.
Is it though?
We're gonna cut it down to like 2, so it's gonna be fine.
It's fine.
You know what, though?
Reshoot some of it.
I don't want to hear anyone. What I don't want to hear from here on out is I don't want anyone complaining that movies aren't long enough.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that. Don't do that.
Remember,
I don't want to hear
everybody-
people complaining about movies being too long. Think about how much we binge watch Netflix and everything else. We can sit there and watch a season in a day. Yeah. I don't want to hear nothing about
it.
Nothing.
If y'all can sit and watch the Avengers Endgame, I don't want to hear y'all complaining. If you can sit and watch The Godfather 3 or 4 times, I don't want to hear y'all complaining.
Didn't do that neither,
can't do that one.
You can sit and watch hours and hours of Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and all these other.
All right. See, now we getting personal. That's unnecessary.
Ramon, you should start the show, man. Start the show before we get
What's going on, folks? Welcome to the Garble Podcast. I am your host, the Get Down from Hispanic Browntown, that beast that roams the Pacific East, Ramon. And I am joined today by Nick. Nick
is on the pod.
Nick's on the pod.
What's up, guys? Captain Poutine, Pirate Napano. What's going on? And we are joined by special guests.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna this brother needs an arm's length of time to introduce himself because he's got so many credits. I want to say the #1 cosplayer out there. I want to put that on him because this brother has been the inspiration.
Didn't know it was an award show.
So many cosplay, the way that he does his thing, the way that he gets down. He's an ex-Marine. He's an ex-wrestler. I mean, movie director, actor. He's got so many credits to his name. Ladies and gentlemen, Smoke.
What's going on, y'all? How's it going today? What's going on, everyone, on this show? What's going on? What's up? Thank you all for having me on. Thank you.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Today is a unique day, and I always try to keep it as transparent as possible. I got my COVID shot today, so I'm a little bit, so I'm gonna try to keep on and stay on as long as I can. But thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor to be on. I got my phone blazing up and everything. People talking about, wait, I see Smoke on the show. Wait, he's on the whole show and all this stuff. But it wouldn't be right giving all the accolades without one of my main partners in crime who I came up with, who basically paved the way in the world of fandom alongside with me. He's paid his ways. If I can properly introduce this man, not only is he a trendsetter in the world of fandom, this man has paved the way in pop culture. He had his own podcast show. This man is a businessman, entrepreneur. He's got his own Comic-Con, or should I say Anime Con. He's the first in Philadelphia to have his own Anime Con. This man has his own game. Wait. I own this game right here.
Hello.
You see it? PT Heroes. Okay. This man I love calling him Spider-Man because when I look at Spider-Man now, all I see is this man's face on anything and everything Spider-Man related. It's so much accolades this man has done. I can't even. He's even jumped in the ring on some of my matches just to get in some shots. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to introduce to you my friend, the man, the myth, the legend from J1 Studios.
Woo!
Jason,
Ow!
Spider-Man Richardson. What's going on, Jason?
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Yo, you know what? One of the things
Put the shades on too.
Listen, one of the things you
You look like
forgot to
Future
say
right
about Eric the Smoke Moran over here is that he's an official DC Comics character.
Well,
That's right. I completely forgot that.
Right.
Forget
We're getting the
about
inside
that.
voice here.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I'm like, we're going to talk about DC Universe. I'm like, damn, that's right. Damn, Freight Train.
Come on, Freight Train, man. You literally was like with the Outsiders. And
That's
like,
right.
with
He was on,
Batman
matter
and
of
stuff.
fact, my female version of Multiverse was on Black Lightning. I keep forgetting about that. Doggone it. Oh, I totally forgot. Doggone it. But you know what? Speaking of multiverses and everything else, we're on here tonight for something special. Ramon, you want to tell the
Yeah,
audience?
ladies and gentlemen, we are talking the Snyder Cut.
Yes.
Is it 4 years in the making?
Yes.
4 long years in the making. It
So
finally
he
came
filmed an
out.
hour a year, guys. Just wanted to point that out.
Release the Snyder Cut. God, thank God.
Hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
That's right.
I listen, I feel like this is one of the most important moves in fandoms ever because too often, and I've been trying to impress this upon my friends because we've been going back and forth about this. And one of the things that I keep saying to them is like, we're finally getting to see an uncut, unmolested, unfiltered, everything vision of what a director wanted to do with a movie. And I think that's extremely important. I can't stress the importance of that enough because we've seen how, look at the Fantastic Four and what studio interference does to that. Look at how studio interference can mess with, any movie. And the fact that we're getting to see a director's vision unfiltered and uncut is, to me, extraordinary, and it's important. And this is one of the the only movements that was 100% supported by the fans.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. And then let's keep it real. We know that it's not going to agree to everyone's taste. Let's get it out in the open.
Mhm.
We know that this movie is not going to agree with everyone's taste, and that's fine. The bottom line is that there's a good portion that people that wanted to see it. Unfortunately, Zach Snyder was screwed by Warner Brothers originally. The highlight was, a lot of people wanted to know why Ray Fisher was talking a lot about why he felt he was neglected about, in this film, the original cut. And we got the chance to see it. And there's so much more. But again, we know for a fact that a lot of people are not, they have their viewpoints and you got to respect it. Again, that's what the whole idea of fandom is about. We can all agree to disagree, but the one thing we got to give props to is the fact that this man was able to make his cut come out. We can't, no matter if we like it, we don't like it, we were able to see as fans, we were able to see this cut come out, regardless if you like it or not like it. No one can disagree that this was something that the fans wanted. And I'm just glad it was a major victory in the world of fandom. And I've heard a lot of I've heard people say, well, it wasn't, it was good, it was great, it was all right, it was meh, and everything else. But at the end of the day, everyone can agree that, hey, it was, hey, no one thought that this was going to happen. Remember when it first happened, when it all went down? No, the Snyder Cut doesn't exist. The Snyder Cut doesn't exist. Oh, that's just X-File. That a Snyder Cut is an X-File. No one, there's no way that this will ever happen.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and you got to admit, during the time when Zack Snyder, lost his daughter, unfortunately, in an untimely, and then, reading Zack Snyder's interview, and he talked about how he had to walk away. He didn't get fired. He walked away from this. and he had no intention on doing or even bothering with it. He just said, hey, let this float out. If it floats out on the internet, whatever. But because of the fans, all of us in the community that wanted to see it, regardless of if it did good, if it did bad, the fact that it got out there in the atmosphere and it was able to be told, the story was able to be told. The rest of us are like right now, like what we're doing tonight, we're discussing it. So I'm just glad that we're all able to talk about it, good, bad, or indifferent. So I had to say that right off the cuff, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it was definitely a win for creatives in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let an artist see the whole project through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I definitely give respect to them for that.
Yeah.
And I also think because of that fan push that really made it, because I'm kind of the opinion, and of course I don't know because I'm not in the DC universe like Smoke, but I don't think it did exist. I think the fans saying put it out was what made them go back and do all the additional footage, the additional scenes, the additional CGI work, all of which really was worth it. The investment was definitely worth it in terms of the entire piece as a whole. I fell asleep during the first iteration, the non-Zach Snyder cut version. The Whedon cut, I guess if you want to call it that, the original theatrical release. It was a clip show. I watched it with Ramon in theaters back when that was a thing. And I just turned to him at one point and I said, I'm not following it. It was shot like a music video, or it was edited, I should say, like a music video. And I wasn't following it. I wasn't with it. The Henry Cavill CGI facial hair away. Yeah. All of that,
It needs an S.
Yeah.
You know why? My first experience with the movie, I guess the Whedon cut.
Oh, wait, hold on. I need to point. I'm sorry. Let me point this out because I think we've all seen both cuts of it.
No, we haven't. That's what
No.
really?
And that's why I have Bria on the show today.
There we go.
Bria.
Oh, okay.
Bria only saw the Snyder cut.
And I will tell you why. Don't make that face, Smoke.
I'm just like, wow, okay.
I'm not judging you. That's fine.
No, I'm not judging you. I'm like, wow, okay.
So the first time that I ever came in contact with the movie, I was at a hotel and I was kind of out of it. And someone just put on a random channel. And I was like, why is there a DC parody film on? Like, is this like an X cut? Like, what? I'm not paying for this. And they were like, no, this is the actual movie. I was like, cut this shit off. I'm not watching it. I grew up on DC and I love it too much to witness that before my eyes. I'm not doing it. So when the Snyder Cut was rumored to coming out, I was like, I also don't want to watch that because if it's trash, that's me just further giving myself trash. Then this episode came up and I was like, okay, it would be best if I only watch the Snyder Cut because then I'm not comparing it to anything else. It's just me experiencing it by itself with no comparison. It's better or worse. Nope. I just want to experience it as it is. And then after this, I will sit through another 2.5 painful hours.
I don't even think it's 2.5.
No, it's only 2 hours.
So I get 30 minutes back. Thank you so much.
As someone who, when I try to force myself to see movies that even knowing that I was going into seeing the original Whedon cut, when I saw the Whedon cut in the theater, and I even bought it after. I try to support comic book movies overall.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I try to support them. So when I bought it, I said, well, this is a movie that I'm just going to have on the shelf. If a friend or somebody wants to come over, they want to look at it, it's something to look at to kill time. I only watched it once and that was it. So here we are 5 years later, Whedon Cut comes out. I learned to appreciate this even more. There was so many moments. I mean, we'll get into it in a minute, but there were so many moments that gave me chills because of the fact that I was like, holy crap. Like, if they had put this, regardless of the outcome, good, bad, regardless of the outcome, if they had put this in the theater, even because originally, if you all remember, it was supposed to be a 2-part movie. And I'm pretty sure if Snyder had gotten his way, it would have probably been different. It wouldn't have been like the 4-hour movie we saw. It would have probably been a little bit trimmed differently, like, you know what I mean? But it was supposed to be a 2-part movie. But because the Warner Brothers execs got scared and they saw how well the Avengers, instead of doing their own thing, oh, we want to be like the Avengers. We want to be like Endgame. I just posted something the Russo brothers sent to Zach Snyder. And they were like congratulating Zach Snyder and saying, hey, man, we're fanboys too of your stuff. Man, we want to congratulate you. Hey, we're all like fans of all this comic book stuff, man. And we're just glad to finally see you, you know, making this happen and all. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the fandom. So again, man, this is great times we're living in, because again, coming up in the 70s, and I was just having a discussion, and Jason, you know what I mean? We only had to go by imagination. So we had mediocre, first of all, we were even lucky to even get a superhero movie. And at best, we had Spider-Man who would just crawl on a wall. And
let's not talk about that.
All right. We had Incredible Hulk.
He said, you leave my man out of this.
Yeah, we had Incredible Hulk wearing slippers, or Captain America on a motorcycle bike. And the best villain that he could stop is a guy who's robbing an old lady and said, give me your money. And he's throwing a shield. And it was this. And again, this is what I had to grow up on. And I had to use my imagination. How cool would it ever be in my lifetime? It would be so cool to see Superman and Batman team up and all, but it will never happen in my lifetime. The closest I'll get to it is in a comic book or in a cartoon. And even then, I might be lucky to see that. To see it all come to fruition, to see the Avengers come to life and as a group and having their own individual movies and then crossing over. Never thought that would happen in my lifetime. To see, you know, now here we got the flip side. DC did a group like a Justice League movie, and then everyone jumped off and did their own spin-off movies. So they're kind of doing a reverse role. But again, never thought I would see that. I think as a whole, a lot of people have gotten to a point now where they, in like the newer generations, got a little bit, I won't say spoiled, but they gotten, and I can understand if I came up in a generation where I grew up around superheroes and all, I'd probably be the same mentality. But because I didn't, and I grew up in an age where my imagination had to only dream of hoping one day I could see this, I can understand where the newer generation is like, man, well, oh, this is so corny, and people having their different viewpoints. For me, I'm like, man, what are you talking about? You got to be crazy. Are you insane, man? So again, I would never knock a person, and I had to learn this. I will never knock a person's fandom, because again, they have a different point of view versus my point of view, because of how I came up when I didn't have what you guys had, like the newer generation had, and everything else. It's just that imagine if you were in my shoes coming up with none of this, when you had none of this, you didn't have black superheroes. The thought of even a black superhero was like unfair, or even a female superhero. You only had Wonder Woman, you know. Gay superhero, different types of superheroes. You didn't have any of that. You had the typical average superhero. That's all you would get. And if you're lucky, you know, you would be maybe fortunate enough, Latino superhero. You didn't get any of that. So again, to see all these variety of different superheroes, diverse backgrounds, diverse storylines, and to be able, and so you're seeing that in the Snyder Cut. You're seeing a more diverse group, and you're seeing a more direct and more intricate storylines on each character versus the Whedon cut, where it was just like, here's a character, here's a character, here's a character. Yes. Now we're going to set it up, and you're sitting there like, what, who, what?
Yeah, just bouncing all around
the
plot. Yeah,
you know, and again,
it was a glorified recap video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was. You ever see those shows where like last week on this. That's what the entire 2 hours felt like when you watched the Whedon cut. Yeah. And that's why it didn't get the response that, you know, people were hoping for, because the way they were trying to push it, the way they were trying to market it at first was like, it's going to be like Avengers. We're trying to do the Avengers thing. And you can't do that when Marvel had years of buildup.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so like seeing this cut gives me a different perspective on how Zach saw the vision and the future of the DC, I guess, EU, or I don't even know if this is considered DCEU.
DCU.
But that was
DCCU.
But that was my first critique of the movie in general. I feel like, and I was discussing this with someone, and they told me that this was Warner Brothers' idea of putting it all in one movie. I feel like this movie could have been stretched out to 4 films, and if it had gotten chance to breathe in between, moments would have been way more impactful.
I think also, opinion. Well, you know what? Originally, in the early part of the year when they announced it, it was supposed to be 6 mini episodes. It was supposed to be 6 episodes.
Well, they bounced a bunch of ideas. I think they were trying to figure out where they wanted to go with it.
Right.
Because at first it was going to be episodic. Then they were going to say, oh, no, we're going to make it into 2 parts. No, we're going to make it just one long movie. I think they were just trying to figure out.
That's why you saw the chapters. That's why you had the chapters and everything. And it's a shame because, again, even though they did a fairly decent job, because of the length of it, that's where you had to get that. It's the length. And for me, like I said, we talked about it right before the show. If you can sit in and watch The Godfather, if you can sit in and watch binge watch Cowboy Bebop, which I love, or you can binge watch JoJo or Naruto.
You want to stop talking about my man, folks. We're not going to keep bringing him into this.
Or you can sit in and watch Avengers, which is Endgame, which is 3 hours plus long, or Infinity War. And again, I love the Avengers. I love my anime and all, but I don't have no problem sitting in and watching that. That should be the furthest from anyone's complaint about, it was 4 hours long. Now, there were moments in the movie itself that, in my viewpoint, it could have been trimmed, that didn't need that wasn't really necessary, but I understood why, but it could have been a little bit trimmed back. There were some scenes, I'm be the first one to admit, be like, you don't need this. You could trim it back some because it's not really important to the main overall story. But like the beginning of the story with them and Mascara, when they threw down that one scene when what's it called came in, Steppenwolf said, I can smell your fear, and the Amazon said, I was just done.
I'll bathe in your fear.
I'm gonna have to politely have an issue with what you just said. we cool, we homies. But me and Wonder Woman have a very interesting, sordid background. And my issue with that scene was, yes, very powerful. Gave me chills. My heart was like, oh my God, what is going on? These women, no, don't do it. But because Wonder Woman, their portrayal of Wonder Woman in the cinematic universe hasn't been powerful enough for me, I did not care that she was from the Mascara. I didn't. I forgot that she existed. To be quite frank, throughout that entire scene,
the Themyscirians were more interesting than Wonder Woman.
Exactly. Yes. And it shouldn't be that way if she's supposed to be one of your lead characters.
Especially
since to lead the charge.
Especially since in this movie she was weakened because she didn't have the power of Chris Pine.
Oh my God. So let me tell you how many times I counted her referring to some man that she dated for a week 50 years ago.
Without his blue eyes, I'm not as powerful. I'm still fast as I'll get out.
What do you mean I can't talk about my love?
I know.
He's not here. Oh no. I guess I'm HR for the Justice League then. Wonder Woman, stop. You are supposed to be a card-carrying member of the badass chick club. That's supposed to be you. You're supposed to lead the charge, slap the men around. You are the daughter of a war god, so and you are crying the whole movie.
You didn't like the bank robbing scene then, I take it.
Action-packed, but quite frankly, like
they gave her the slow-mo instead of Flash.
Yeah.
Which then made Flash's slow-mo not matter to me.
So what does it take if you were a filmmaker? What would you have done to make Wonder Woman more powerful? Like as a filmmaker, like what would you want to have happen? If you had a chance to talk to Patty Jenkins or Zach Snyder, what would you want for them to do to empower Wonder Woman more?
Let them pass the Bechdel test?
Yes.
Thank you.
Stop mentioning her ex-boyfriend that died 50 years ago.
Just once.
Take away
just one movie. Take a movie off.
Because every time she has a theme song when she walks into a room, I'm just reminded that this is a superhero with tits. Let her just breathe. Just let her breathe. Let her do what she's supposed to do. Like her crouching down to the little girl, you can be whoever you want to be. We didn't need that. I didn't need that. No. That didn't feel like feminism to me. That felt like, hey, ladies, you're in this movie too. Why watch us connect with the little girls in the audience?
That was Saturday morning cartoons to me. It really was. Hey kids, remember to stay in school. That way you'll be a success in life, just like me. Ding. And
I did appreciate the gauntlet. I was like, yes, let her kill someone. He's dead. Yeah. He's dead. He's gone. He's gone. Wonder Woman doesn't care about killing people.
Yeah.
Kill him. He's gone.
And she did cut off my man's head.
Yes. Those were the best points for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do a better job in DC, in my opinion, than Marvel when it comes to like some of the fight sequences with the truly overpowered.
Yeah.
They do a better job. Marvel just kind of avoids them at all costs and then make them go Super Saiyan.
Disney. Well, it's the power of Disney.
Yeah.
The power of Disney.
Kingdom Hearts.
I think we can all pretty much agree that this was way better than the Whedon cut.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. It was a movie. It was a movie. But I think so. We can all agree that it was a better cut than the Whedon cut. And I think I will say this much. I think this movie did a much better job of setting up Aquaman, of setting up the Flash movie, of setting like there were questions that I went into Aquaman that if I had seen this movie wouldn't have been a question. Yeah.
Yep.
You know what helped with that? The music scoring. They completely redid the soundtrack to help with the actual like tone of the movie and to keep that all coherent. And that created a layer to these characters that wasn't present in the first one and was much better. And I get the movie's supposed to be like sort of more brooding, more, I guess, real. I don't know how he would term his approach to it, but it was grittier
or immersive.
Immersive, yes. But it was literally not a mashup of all of the elements. Lighting, the aspect ratio, which by the way, do you think the aspect ratio, which Jason is showing on the video, by the way, which is brilliant, by the way.
Those two big black bars on the side of my television.
Yeah. No, but if
the bezels,
you think about it, let's the fans had to make this movie come about, and the studio would have had to have shown some balls, and Zach would have put out his vision the first time in a two-part, because I absolutely agree. It feels like it's a two-parter. They maybe for it to be a 1 4-hour movie, they might have even taken something out that would have been like the end of part 1 and the beginning of part 2. I don't know. But if they had gone with his initial vision and they put on like the IMAX screen, they put a letter, they put an old school TV format up there. Do you think fans would have been as receptive?
Well, the
Jason?
whole actually, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, actually, the setup that is a full frame. If you to get that, what we see as widescreen and all that stuff, they would actually have cut it from top to bottom.
Right.
So they set it up so you could see full frame of what he shot. He pretty much, he didn't want to edit it. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Oh, they didn't want to upscale it, basically?
They would have actually, that's where you get that letterboxing sometimes, the black bars. Is like sometimes I've done it in projects I've worked on, and, because you shoot sometimes in a full frame, which is like a whole big, screen, but then to create that 16:9 ratio, you have to cut, certain things. The way it was shot was fine. He didn't cut it. He didn't cut it down to be the 16:9.
Right.
Like, he wanted to give you every angle, he didn't want to miss anything, because sometimes when you see that 16:9, you're actually missing
something off screen that was
something like top and bottom screen, depending on what kind of camera was used. There's not a lot of cameras that, I mean, you can shoot stuff in, like if you have like, say, like an iPhone, like the newer iPhones, like the Pros, where you can do some good cinematography with, if you turn it, you know, and film it, when you go to edit that footage, you're going to see black bars on the left and the right of your camera, because it shoots it in a full frame. Then you can edit it and shrink it down so it's like a widescreen, looks more widescreen.
Oh, that's very cool. I didn't know that, but I guess my question is more if they produced that and put it out and you weren't getting the entire screen filled.
And that's the thing with that shot. I think it would have.
Oh,
for specific, it would have given you that, like, the whole room is the screen. You know what I mean? Like that whole.
Oh, so there wouldn't be sections of the screen that were cut off.
You probably wouldn't, depending on. I think with the IMAX ones, you don't see that. You wouldn't see that. Depending on the, you know, which theater you go to, because there's certain theaters where you can get that 4D and super immersive experience. Mm-hmm. And sometimes certain movies, when they're shot, can throw you off because they're shot or edited to be the widescreen, but they don't actually fit well with certain projectors or certain theaters.
Gotcha.
I actually gave a bad review for Pacific Rim when it first came out, because the studio had me see it in a theater that it wasn't made for. Oh. So I was like looking over to one side and missing all this action on the other side, and going like, wait. And then when I got it, I gave them a bad review. And then when I was like, you know what, let me give it another shot. Way later, it came out like on Blu-ray or whatever. I was like, you know what, might as well watch it. You know, I like robots, I like kaiju. So I watched it, I was like, wow, I didn't even see that part of the fight. Like there's a whole thing that sometimes the trend is to be widescreen.
Yes.
Right. And
fans do kind of go towards trends. You know what I mean? I wonder what the reviews would be had it not been like this buildup, like to coming out like this many years and the backstory and all of that. Like, let's say it just went through like a normal movie and he produced it and it came out and it was like his vision. I don't know. I wonder what the reception would have been, but
I don't think this movie would have done well as a two-parter, because I don't think he would have to do some serious editing to make it work. Yeah. Because as one whole film, it works.
Yeah.
As two parts, the first half is dead.
Yeah.
The first film would have been just a build-up movie, and you'd have been like, wow, nothing really happened yet.
No conflicts.
Good point.
And then
he
would have
probably wrote it differently, but because he was able to present it as a whole 4-hour film, I think if he was able to sit down and say, okay, you get to do it as a 2-part movie, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to sit down and restructure the way, and that's the build up, you know, like
that's what I liked about this movie is that he pretty much gave you, well, I mean, obviously there was reshoots and added shoots and stuff like that, but this was like the raw idea of this film.
Right.
Now,
like if you could just make just a film, like no matter what the time length is, no matter what, it's just like, here's
you get one shot at this, one bite at the apple. And and it does work. And you know what? I don't mind the 4-hour length. It just, when you watch a Marvel movie, it is, you know, it's 3.5 hours. You go, oh, it felt like 2. You know, when you watch this, it felt like 4. it was every bit of the 4 hours.
I didn't feel like it was
really.
4. I felt the 4.
Okay.
Yeah. It depending on your taste. I mean, for like Jason said, for me, it didn't feel like it because I knew what I was getting into. When you're going into these movies, and in your case, Bree, I understand because of the fact you never saw the Wheaton cut. So of course, you know, you're gonna go in. For me, because I saw the Wheaton cut, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see. So I knew it. I expected it was going to be a little bit longer, and so I knew going into this, I'm like, okay, like most of the movies that I see, when it comes to superhero movies and all that, I know, and especially if it's on an epic scale, I know it's going to be long. The ones that are short, that like, I'm like, wow, is that it? Like, I'm like, do I get any more?
Yeah.
Those are the ones either they're written good enough where they end up being long. You're like, wow, time went by fast, or it's not enough. I need more story. I need more, you know, I need more like information. But what I was going to tell you guys, the one thing, I'm going to go back on something that Jason said. The one thing that Zack Snyder did address about the black bars is that going forward, he's going to start doing all of his films like that. The one thing he did talk about in doing superhero movies, that he wanted to give you guys, we wanted to give the audience the full frame as if you were reading a comic book, because the comic book aspect is you're looking at it without a full screen. The other thing is, like, he's coming out, I just ordered it, in fact, I pre-ordered it, Superman versus Batman. He's doing the remastered version, and is going to also have the black screen, and they show you the difference when he's fighting, when Batman is fighting Superman. They show you like the wide version, and then they go to the, and it is like Jason said, you get more of a picture. You're like, whoa. So Zack Snyder is moving forward. He said most of all his films, he's going to start doing the black box, which again I was going into it with the idea, and then watching WandaVision, for example. In some of those episodes, you saw the black screen. So, and again, I grew up in the era where we had the black screen. So
yeah, I feel no sympathy.
Yeah.
I feel no sympathy for people who are like, "Oh my God, I got a 4K TV and I have to watch it 4:3."
Yeah, none.
Like, shut up.
It didn't take it out. It didn't take me out of it.
Yeah.
No.
Can I ask a question? Because I want to let Smoke bow out after this, because I know that you're not feeling well. If you want to hang in, but if
I'm trying to hang in for another 10 minutes and all.
Okay, cool.
I'm liking what the conversation is going.
Nice. All right, let me ask this question, because I was doing some reading, and Snyder was talking about his vision for Justice League 2 and 3 and the way the movie ended. He had planned to have I don't know if everybody picked up on this. Superman, Lois Lane is pregnant. Yep. And Superman is the dad, obviously. Or
is he?
Or is he?
Well, he was dead for a little while.
Can I just say this before you go any further?
Go ahead.
2 things that happened in the movie. One, when Lois opened the drawer, she was looking at, there was a pregnancy kit. And 2, when she was walking up the steps, she already had the baby thing. And Bruce said, "Congratulations" twice. Yep. He said, "Oh, by the way, congratulations a second time." And basically, she was pregnant. She was already pregnant with Clark's baby.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's why I'm saying maybe Bruce knew. Hey.
All right, but Snyder had already said that his vision for Justice League 2 is that Batman would die, sacrificing himself against Darkseid, and that the unborn child in the Kryptonian hybrid would end up becoming Bruce Kent would end up becoming the new Batman in Justice League 3. That was his vision. What do we think about that?
2 things. 1, multiverse. So anything can happen in multiverse. And 2, it's called rewrite. So that's one possibility, but they can always go back and say, well, look, we have to come to an understanding, and they can always sit down and sit with Zach and say, how about if we go in this direction? Mm-hmm. Like, look at, let's take it one step further. Look at Superman and Lois. Whoever thought that this show was going to surpass any of the CW shows and work with Superman having twin sons and the show actually doing good? So, hey,
that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
I'll give you that. Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to do good.
I don't mind that idea, because my biggest gripe with the DC cinematic universe has been recently Batman's age. Because if you go by who his Robins are, right? So we know that Jason Todd was the Robin whose costume was hung up in the Batcave, right?
Right.
that means that he would be on Damian at this point. I want to say it would be around the Damian arc. Jason, I'm looking at you for confirmation. If we're going like chronologically.
For the Snyder films, they actually were hinting that it's Dick Grayson that died.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been trying to say that was
Multiverse.
Dick Grayson that died.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You just have to give me the right chronological order that you're going in the multiverse, because that would mean that Batman's almost 50 in his 50s at this point.
It was supposed to be 20 years. It was supposed to be taking place 20 years in Batman's career as Batman, and then also originally, remember, they were supposed to have the Batman movie was supposed to be Ben Affleck, and he was supposed to be one of the head writers for the Batman movie until they had different writers take over, and that's when all the big switch up. Because originally it was supposed to be him and Deathstroke, my man who's playing as Deathstroke in the movie. That was supposed to be the big thing. And the original writing, that's what we saw at the end of the movie, where he said, yeah, I got a gripe to fill with Batman. He said, oh, an eye for, and Lex Luthor says an eye for an eye. Yeah, that whole scenario. So we never got a chance to see it. And that would have explained a lot more details about the whole thing with Robin, with Dick Grayson and all that. So, and you got to also remember, during that time when the Flash did his little flashpoint moment. Yep. Could we say also there could have been a moment at the same time when he did that, he could have crossed over during the CW moment when he bumped into Barry Allen? All that could have happened during that time when he ran back in time. All that happened. And remember, I do like how they handled that. Yeah, and remember, the Flashpoint movie is coming out, and Iris will be in that movie. So, there's still a lot of elements that they can still bring in. And then Ben Affleck is coming back as Batman, plus Michael Keaton in that movie together. So, hey, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
So, I feel like we're getting an Elseworlds of DC.
Yes, I like to think so too. I hope we do.
But my original issue was just, if Batman is almost 60 just starting the Justice League, he's not going to last very long. And that's not even me trying to be whatever about it.
Just about the length of a contract with Ben Affleck.
You gotta look at it like this.
You just can't be 60 with no powers fighting crime. So
you gotta assume he's going to be probably in the early 50s.
Yeah.
So you figure that by the time he starts the Justice League, he's going to be mid 50s, at least mid 50s. So. And remember, Batman held his own. Terry McGinnis. You could also establish the Terry McGinnis factor.
That's what I wanted them to do with Robert Pattinson. I was like, if he's Terry McGinnis, this all makes sense then. But if he's not, what are you doing?
I think he would have been too old to do an origin story of it, but it would have been a good, there was a famous episode called Epilogue where it took place in the future, about 10 years into the future after Batman Beyond. And Terry is like Bruce in his prime age, late 20s, early 30s. And he has his Justice League if they had went that route, that'd be cool. I'm not going to say no to that,
But the possibility, depending on who you get if you get the right writer and put together something, like you said, even with Bruce being at that age, and make it where the audience can back you and support what that person is right. Because even with, like you said, I'm 100% on board with you. When they had Affleck come out as being a much older Batman. Now, that means Batman was around before Superman, and you made Batman much older. At first, it took me a minute to get my head around that, but then it just kind of set in, and then I was like, yo, he's one of the best Batman that I've seen, next to Keaton. I'm like, wow, he does a good Batman. And then the banner between him and Alfred being cynical towards him, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm on board with this.
I did like their relationship throughout the movie. That was one of the relationships that I was like, this feels authentic.
Right. And then the other thing is, remember when Batman, the way Bruce was in Batman versus Superman, and how he was just determined to take him down. And then he became more hopeful as the Snyder Cut, when he got in the Snyder Cut, and Alfred kept telling him, like, you're not going to be able to put these people together. He said, hey, you got to have faith. Yeah. You know, I was the one who, you know, who took them away, and I got to bring them together, you know. And the one scene when he said, you know, you really think he's going to come? He said, Alfred, you got to have faith. And that scene always, that scene drove it home for me. He was like, you just got to have faith. So I really, those two, that Batman and Cyborg's, like, both of their
story arcs.
Their story arcs were like poignant with me in the movie.
Yeah. Batman did feel much more useful in this movie than he did in the Whedon cut, because he basically just got slapped around in the Whedon cut, and
boy, did he ever!
My God!
Do you bleed? Do you bleed?
So one of my critiques, and this goes back to Wonder Woman, right? Mm-hmm. I would have greatly preferred if Bruce had been the one to speak to Cyborg, as opposed to Wonder Woman, who didn't really have a relationship to Cyborg. So, for example, at least with Bruce, he's lost a parent. His life, as he knew it, like, changed dramatically, and he had to adjust, right? I feel like they were trying to give Wonder Woman a moment that didn't feel deserved.
I just felt that scene when she was, that scene when she was talking to him and said to him, well, she lost someone and then she left, like, you know, she got away from everyone. To me, it just felt like, okay, that scene when she was kind of relating to him about, like, I didn't want to be around anyone and all. That's where I think, you know, why she talked to him, because she was like, well, look, you're about to do something that I've already done. I think that was the reason why she probably talked. Like, that was the only reason why why she wanted to.
Like, I get the idea, but it didn't feel authentic. It was a stretch. Felt like, you know how in the reality TV shows they say, go over there and talk to him about his dead uncle. Yeah. And the girl's like, hey, you have a dead uncle. Let's talk about it. Yeah. That's how it felt. I feel like with Bruce, because he has such a strong connection to the people that he lost, it would have made more sense. Yeah. And I wanted to give this movie a, like, 10 out of 10 for not mentioning the death of the parents.
But if you're gonna,
come on, if you're gonna use it, at least use it then.
But you know what? If anybody was going to talk to him, it would have been Arthur, because you remember, Arthur seemed more like, because remember, Arthur and him were butting heads a lot. And then Arthur was like, I didn't think you liked him. He said, no, I didn't say that. He said, I didn't think you liked him. Remember, he was hard on him. He was real hard. And then he kind of like loosened up. And by the time he grabbed him, he was like, my man. And I was like, okay, now he's kind of like, so it would be more Arthur.
That would have fit.
Yeah, it seemed to fit more with Arthur. And I see what you mean by Wonder Woman, but Arthur seemed more like the one that kept challenging him, like, so why don't you tell us why you're here? Like, you know,
I feel like that would have been a great moment in the movie. I just didn't feel like Wonder Woman needed that scene. I feel like her story would have made more sense in other places in the movie. And that's what I mean by they're misusing her character.
They need to bring up the fact that she didn't have Chris Pine anymore. That's what she was talking about. If I hear Chris
that's what I read. Name one more time, I would jump in the Schuylkill River.
I'll just mute myself now.
let's be more critical of this, because one of my first,
I got you.
I got a tweet from one of our fans who reached out to me, and
I tweet.
He said, why was this an R-rated movie? Because if you're watching the comic books, if you're reading the comic books, this was not a family-friendly film whatsoever. You know, like the amount of cursing, the amount
that's the main issue.
That's why it's rated R.
Well, here's my thing. What was the purpose of the movie? Puritans. But what was the purpose of the movie? Like, Warner Brothers' purpose. What did they want to get out of the movie? Was it
what did you get out of the comic books? If you're reading the comic books, here's the question that I'm being asked. If you're reading the comic books, what did you get out of the comic books if you thought it was an R rating?
Wait, what do you mean?
So Wonder Woman beheads somebody. Wonder Woman kills somebody. Batman's running around with a gun.
Machine guns
at that. Like there were elements of
him dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah.
There were
Batman
elements
dropping the F-bomb is probably enough to like confuse children because
no. So we're not going to mention the Joker reach around joke. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
so we all just not going to touch that.
No. I'm taking it easy before I get to the reach around.
Okay, all right.
You gotta ease into that. You can't just
that-
spring it on us.
I wanted to make sure I didn't like fever dream that I didn't fall asleep. It was like,
No, that
oh,
wasn't a
it's
fever
great
dream.
scene
That
to
was-
put in here.
It was a fever dream though. Oh, well, he was just asleep. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
everybody. So
what are you getting out of the comic books if that's what you think that the comic books were? Because one of the things, like one of the biggest criticisms about Superman, the actor who played Superman, I can't remember his name off the top of my
Henry
head.
Cavill.
One of the biggest criticisms of Henry Cavill is that his Superman was too dark, that his Superman was too brooding, that his Superman was too...
God, you know, can I just address this? Let me just say this now. For all the crybabies out there, this is a different time. This is a different era. Man of Steel was made for the modern day. We are not talking the 1930s, 1970s, or 1980s. This is the Man of Steel was made for modern day. If you remember back in the 80s or the 70s when Superman 2 came out, he killed Zod also. He threw Zod in the freaking Arctic and he went down. People need to stop crying about the little, oh, well, you know, what Batman used a foul word. We are in modern times. What you don't think? You don't think everybody uses cuss words? You know Batman's going to use a cuss word. Grow up. Start living in the reality, man. You don't think kids use foul language? If you don't think kids use foul language, you're kidding yourself. Stop thinking, oh, Batman used a gun. I had a big argument with somebody who was like, well, in the warehouse scene, Batman used a gun. He didn't use a gun. He used a doggone thing to defuse the guns and everything. Well, he had a sniper gun. He had a sniper gun in the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, grow up. You guys are living. For people who are supposed to be comic book fans, you really don't do your research. If you read the
Batman's
70s
a murderer.
60s,
Yeah.
yeah.
he routinely like
read the
breaks
70s.
people's arms
If you
that
read
have
this-
no health care.
Yeah, if you read the 70s and the 80s books, it was a different era, a different time, and the literature was different. We are living in modern day. A lot has changed. The wording, the violence, everything is different in the comic books. The way
Well, we don't have the comics code anymore.
Yeah,
the
we don't have
comics
comics
code has
code.
been removed.
So people
X-Men in X-Men comics, they curse all the time. People
Yeah.
sleeping with people, everybody
Yeah, I
having
mean,
sex
come on.
and doing drugs.
Like actually telling stories. Yeah.
Look, the DC animated movies, they cuss in the DC animated movies.
They do.
Grow up. If that's your big segue to complain about something about, oh, well, Batman cusses. If that's your only thing to complain about, then you really got nothing to complain about because, you know, the biggest argument about the Man of Steel was Superman kills Zod. You're put in a scenario. You would have complained that if Zod killed somebody and Superman could have done something about it. Well, he destroyed all the buildings. Okay. It's a super powered being. What are you going to do?
He has insurance. It's fine.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
again, it really kills me because that's when people want to find, oh, well, you know, If you don't enjoy the movie, then don't watch the damn thing.
Mhm.
I'm just sick and tired of, you know, again, I get sick and tired of these so-called fans that want to nitpick on every blessed thing instead of enjoying the movie for what it is. If you read it in the comic book, you wouldn't be crying or anything. You take it as it is. And if you can read a comic book, when the Fantastic Four gets attacked and buildings and everything crumbles, or the Justice League is taking on Starro and Starro's crumbling the city, and you see it in a live action format, get over it. It's not something, you know, I don't want to get over it. Well, guess what? Then that means you're not a true fan. A true fan is going to just say, okay, it is what it is. We're more in a modern day. So profanity, literature-wise, if you don't want your kids to read it, then don't have your kids read it. But if you're kidding yourself and thinking that kids are not going to use profanity, my kid would never use profanity, then you really don't know your
Kid's a
You
sailor.
must not be on TikTok.
Oh my God.
You don't listen to your kids online when they're gaming
Yeah.
because they are pure sailors over there.
Oh my God.
So
You know,
my question is, was Warner Brother trying to position themselves as Marvel's edgy like cousin? Because if that's the case, if that's the aesthetic that they want to go in, then this movie meets the criteria.
I would say
Yeah, what I'm
the
saying?
darker tone.
Yeah.
I would say the
And that's
more
fine.
gritty,
Look
the
at
gritty,
the boys.
darker
As
tone.
long as they're staying consistent with they want to be the edgier, more mature, more modern, more realistic superhero, that's fine.
Look how
We
good the
just
boys
can't
are.
keep going back and forth.
Yeah, look how good the boys are doing.
Yeah.
The Boys is one of the most top-rated superhero shows out there, and they break every kind of code known to man. But you don't hear people complaining about it. People are enjoying it and watching it to death. So people need to stop crying. Well, Superman, and I'm like this. Oh my God, freaking read a comic book and stop crying about it. And if you want to do something about it, create your own damn comic book.
Damn. Just say snowflake real quick. Say snowflake for me.
You know what? It's just that we're living in a time where everybody wants to complain and get on the soapbox and complain about everything instead of enjoying the moment and having that moment. They want to critique every little thing. It's great to have a conversation.
Mhm.
It's great to have a viewpoint. That's not what I'm knocking. But what I'm knocking on is that, say we're all enjoying something and we have our little quirks about it. We're like, oh, well, you know, but we're not going to crap on, I'm not going to crap on your opinion because you don't like something. But when you want to just complain,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, come on.
Have a
I
reason.
hear that
Yeah.
so much in the community, and it gets under my skin because, and a lot of times, as someone who's been sitting back, who enjoys the fandom, there was a time when we didn't have all this stuff. Now we have a smorgasbord of so much different fandoms. Let's enjoy these moments, man, because there was a time when we were looked down on. We were the crazy ones. We were the odd ones. Now we're in a sea of fandom, man. We need to enjoy these moments instead of being, oh, my nose is doing, oh God, Superman said the P word, or Batman said the oh gosh darn it, oh my God, and wait, Spider-Man, he said poo, oh God, he said poo, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, get over yourself, you know. So I had to preach on that real quick. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
It's the shot. It's the shot. I'm telling you. It's the COVID shot. I'm telling you. All right. I had to say my say. I had to say my say.
Just to nitpick a little bit, I did find the scene where the ladies were singing at Aquaman a little unsettling.
I thought that was funny.
That was so weird.
When Gopher did like this, when Gopher was like,
when she smelled his jacket, I was like, all right.
Wait a second, Snyder. Hold up, buddy.
A lot of y'all women out there feel exactly what she was feeling.
Not like that, though.
Oh,
not
listen,
like that.
listen.
I'm not saying hibs as you.
I'm a dude, and I might have sniffed his jacket.
I know a lot of women out there. They'll be like,
let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not lie to ourselves.
I got Jason Momoa behind me.
Oh, here we go.
If Jason Momoa just took off a t-shirt and just threw it on the ground, you know how at a Comic-Con, you know how many people would swan dive
and that's
over that
fine.
thing?
They can do that. You just can't sing at him as he's walking past and majestically sinking into the ocean.
Oh,
that's what I had.
No,
I want women that would do that.
Talking about, I want that now. I want to wake up. I want to wake up.
This is why we can't give y'all nothing.
Wake up and have 5 Norwegian white women singing sweet melodies to me as I rise.
I was like, is this Coming to America 3?
You know, like,
I can't wait for your next con, man. I want to see you walk in like that. That's gonna be amazing.
Hey, Jason got the hair for it. His name is Jason. You know, all Jason.
Oh my God.
No, all right, real quick though. One time when I went back to Jamaica, and I love going in the ocean. I don't like deep ocean, but I was in the water playing around, you know, and then like I went under and I came up, and I guess the way I came up, I looked mad majestic, and there was like people standing near me like this. I was like, what is happening? Because like it was the weirdest thing ever. But
you know, Jason thought it was dope as hell. Jason like, yeah.
He really did.
It was dope. It was dope. No, but like in part of our culture, it's my hair is, you know, back home it's like a religious thing. It's like, you know, priest wearing a collar. So like I had to go bless a restaurant. Like they had me like it was
I repeat, I don't.
You know what?
want
And this is when I know I'm having a fever
Norwegian
dream
women
now.
with fur hats singing at Jason Momoa as he sings majestically into an ocean.
Need that.
I could have done without that. Could have done.
But you
without
know what?
that.
There's a lot of women out there that disagree with you. I know there are a lot. You know, she went too far. She didn't have to say all that. Why she had to say that? You know, I agree with her up until that point. She didn't have to
That's
say
fine.
that.
That's fine. Nick, what do I tell them every episode? You can leave it in the comments. I will not read it, but you can leave it right down there. It will not get to me,
Yes.
but if it makes you feel better, write in the comments, y'all.
Rhea likes to
engagement.
promote our core mythos of having conversations.
Yes.
Well,
Have a conversation with yourself.
Well, Ramos, thank you so much for having me on. I'm starting to have a fever dream now because I actually started seeing Jason
Viking
coming
women.
out the water and the stairs starting to move. I'm like, all right, I'm getting scared now. Like, you know what? Oh God. And he's saying something about Bruce Wayne. I'm like, Jason, I'm leaving, Jason. But no, thank you all for having me on the show. I really enjoyed this. I tried to stay on as long as I could.
Yes. Thank you for hanging out. I know.
Yeah, I definitely would love to come back and definitely discuss. And Bree, you actually made some sense with some stuff. So,
Making sense. Yeah, go ahead, making me.
You did make me. No. On the real, you did make me think of some stuff. So kudos to you on that. Straight up.
Thank you.
Yeah. See.
Because he's stubborn as hell. He don't want to listen to nobody.
Jason, I listen to you. Yeah, I listen to you.
Wait,
That, I
when's your
don't count,
birthday?
man. I don't count.
But you have to be coming out of the ocean, tossing your hair.
Yeah.
See?
I'm gonna just start wearing a wig and do it. I'm gonna just do it every time I gotta make a point.
And you got the right backdrop for it. So,
All right,
Raymond,
Always
thank
a
you
pleasure.
so much. I would love to come back on. Please let me know. I won't be after April 10th. Definitely after April 10th. After I'm done with everything, I'll definitely love to come back on.
Okay, I'll let you know.
All right, definitely. And thank you again. Enjoy the Snyder Cut, y'all. Go see it. Despite what anyone says, go see it. Make up your own mind.
Yeah.
No matter what we say, good, better, and different, check it out. Watch it, learn it, love it. And if you got questions on it, just don't complain about it. All right. Thank you all again. Y'all take care. Please safe. And I'll be seeing you all on the flip side. Peace and hair grease, y'all.
Bye.
All right.
Later.
All right.
All right, y'all. Now the smoke's gone, so I can really get ridiculous, right? so he's
because
is he about to pop back in here?
Yeah, careful.
He's
You still
I
got
can fight
Jason.
you. That's fine, Jason. I'll fight you. That's cool.
He didn't leave. He
go way
just
back.
tagged in his tag team partner. is what
Right,
he
he's
did.
just definitely
Right,
somewhere
like-
in the comments. He's about to message us, be like, "Girl, you tripping?"
And
So
I do want to be a little more critical about it because I feel like there was definitely some things in there that
oh yeah,
there are plot holes. There are things that just didn't make sense. And go ahead.
You
there
ready?
was something that's been. I said I was gonna make a YouTube video about it, but I'm like, never mind. We're just gonna do it here. We just do it here. As much as I like the epilogue makes no sense, and neither does any of the dreams that Bruce is having throughout there. Because why would he have the dream? If anybody that should have a dream of any of this stuff, it should be the Flash, because he's tapped into the Speed Force and doesn't know how to control it. Saying all that, if there's not a guaranteed sequel lining this up, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about moving forward. So now that we got the Snyder Cut, is this going to be the definitive cut for DC? Or because I feel like as much as whether you liked it or not, there's definitely sequel material here.
Oh no, there was setups for a ton of sequels.
Yeah.
There was a setup for Flashpoint.
Yes.
I was expecting them to do, if they do a sequel, it's got to be called Injustice League or something like that, or Justice League, you know what I mean? Something to tie. It just turned into Injustice at the end of it. If you've ever played the games, Superman becoming the evil, super villain. And what they should have done, which would have been a nice little, is if Flash, he had that armor on. That's his time traveling. Well, should have been his time traveling armor, because that's the armor he had on his body when he did that dream sequence when he got to Bruce and was like, "She's the key." I was like, "Why is this?" When they first showed that in the Whedon cut, I was like, "What is that dumb helmet?" And then they show it's a whole armor thing on, you know, during the apocalypse.
Yeah.
He should have, when Superman showed up, he should have taken off and just disappeared. And that would have been the beginning of Flashpoint, of him going like that. That should have been the plan. Like, if everything goes to crap, Barry, you know what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let y'all into a little secret. I'm actually working with DC to file a restraining order against Jared Leto. We're trying to keep him as far away from the movie sets as well as every Mac counter. He is no longer allowed to buy red lipstick, concealer, powder, none of that. They have been informed to have him escorted off the premises.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
Jared
Leto touches another DC comic, like in general, like if he goes to a comic book store and buys one, I'm filing a civil suit. He does not need to be anywhere near shit.
I think
I will fight you. He may no.
I have a theory. I have a theory with this.
Lay it on me.
What's your theory? What's your theory?
He's Robin.
Huh?
Ramon, can you end the episode now? Can you run our title screen?
Hear me out.
What?
Hear me out. Hear me
All
out.
right,
Check
go
this
ahead.
out.
Go
What if, because remember, this is very Elseworld, all this stuff. This I'm going to make a video on YouTube for, but I just want to get this, jotted down.
Sneak peek.
Yeah. All right. So I figured out a way to tie all the current DC movies together.
Okay.
Including Joker. Joker was that old.
Phenomenal.
Joker. He started it and all that stuff.
So Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was, the half brother and Bruce and all that stuff. That's why Batman would never kill him, but always put him in Arkham until he was like, one day I'm going to make you kill me. And then what he does is he takes Robin and he does, if you ever see Batman Return of the Joker from Batman Beyond, and turns Robin into a little Joker. That's why he had damage written on his forehead. He had the scars in the same spot that the Robin suit had in Batman v Superman. And that's why he's all messed up. And that's why he's younger-ish. Because he was actually Robin. And then ever since then, Batman snapped, killed his brother, Joaquin, the original Joker.
That version.
Gave up being Batman. And that's why he was retired until Superman came back.
Oh.
And then he decides to come back because after all that trauma.
That is a beautiful idea, Jason.
Yeah.
But Jared Leto needs to not be a part of any of it.
It sounds like if you're having that kind of reaction, he absolutely needs to be part of that because that is exactly the vibe that he's trying to put off.
And some of that dialogue in epilogue could still play if that used to be Robin, because he was saying some stuff to get under his skin, and he was like, you'll never kill me. Like and it wasn't because he's Joker, because he's like, you never kill me because I'm still Robin underneath all this.
But so he took off his own armor and spray paints it. Ha 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 ha.
No.
That was SWAT team armor.
So that would have been Joaquin Phoenix.
That would have been
Joaquin did that to Robin.
Okay.
Like pretty much kind of do like a Death in a Family in the Snyderverse.
I'm fine with, moving forward, I'm fine with all of this if it's an Elseworld story.
Yeah, except
I just want it to be good, and that epilogue was horrible.
Well, the epilogue was until he woke up and talked to Martian Manhunter. It was a dream. Every element of that was simply Bruce is self-conscious, which is why he was the one having the dream.
Because, why so detailed of knowing? Why was he knowing so much about Apocalypse? How did he know so much about Apocalypse without seeing Apocalypse?
Because that was supposed to be set up for Justice League 2.
They're trying to do a Tony Stark.
Yes, they are, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't work because Tony was the reason why it worked in Marvel with Tony Stark is because Tony was the only person that actually saw Thanos' army up close
in space. Yeah,
right.
In the
first Avengers, get a glimpse through that.
He went up to take the nuke up. He was like, "Oh, there's a whole thing up here." oh my God.
Yeah, they're badder than I thought. And doing that same Tony Stark moment, the only little credence I can give it is they were all looking through that portal and looking Darkseid right in the face. So what I'm trying to remember now, what was in the background? Did he see any of that machinery or any of that?
He saw Granny Goodness. He saw Decide.
Mhm.
He saw Apocalypse.
Mhm.
Apocalypse.
But he was having those dreams before that.
Yeah, he was having that.
They just cut it out of the
like
movie.
that.
They cut it out of the movie. But he brought it up to Wonder Woman. He was like, yo, I'm having this dream where Flash came through. Maybe they did show it. I wasn't paying attention. But I don't remember them showing that scene where Flash was coming through time and saying, like, she's the key.
I think
but I remember him telling her. He told Wonder Woman, I think it was Wonder Woman he was talking to. He was like, I had a dream that Barry came through a portal and told me that Lois was the key.
But every man has the key to his heart. With having a 4-hour-long single movie is way too much establishing that you're trying to do all at once. Like even the Mother Box. Like, did we see that in the last movie?
So not as much.
Yes,
see any of them really?
I like how they handled the Mother Box in this version, because in the Whedon one, it was really.
But I'm not comparing the two. I'm just going off of this movie.
Oh well, in the original one, see, having that, like, seeing it stuck with me, because the entire premise for Steppenwolf was he was always like, I have to do this for Mother. Everything was Mother this and Mother that, and I was like, no, you don't call the Mother Box Mother. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, he was broken in the first version, but just from this second version. Just for
he doesn't
context.
say Mother at all.
Right.
He doesn't say Mother at all. He's given a mission through
to redeem himself.
Yes, a redemption mission. Yep.
Right. None of that was in the Whedon one. It was just Steppenwolf is the villain. But that was it. No Darkseid, no Decide, no nothing.
The explanation of the Mother Boxes themselves was way better than we got. Could it have been its own story? Absolutely. But
that was my issue. When I look at movies, right? And I read and I've watched a bunch of videos on adaptation science in general, right? Literary science, where you're taking a song and making it a book into a movie, whatever. From my personal opinion, I feel as though you should be able to watch whatever is happening on the screen with no prior knowledge, save for maybe the movies that came before it, and understand what was going on. If I knew absolutely nothing about DC, I knew nothing about a Mother Box, Father Box, Apocalypse, I think I would have struggled with understanding this movie, because it was too long and too short at the same time to establish a whole different realm, a whole different machinery, a whole new team with new characters. You can't give somebody all of that in one movie and expect it to be as impactful.
Yeah, they were trying to create.
That's Zack Snyder's fault.
No,
right. It was,
but it's just a reality.
It felt like they were trying to do their version of the Infinity Saga.
Yes,
they were like, we have to stop the villain from getting these pieces, because once he gets these pieces, then the world is over. Unfortunately, like, see, with the way Marvel did it, they had it in two parts, where the Infinity War was to stop him from getting the pieces. And when he got the pieces, story was over. Like, he snapped his fingers and the movie ended.
Mm-hmm.
When you give that as a goal, it felt like it was like moving the goalpost a little bit.
Yes.
Because they were like, all right, we got to stop him from getting these 3 pieces. All right, he got the 3 pieces. All right, now we got to stop him from merging the 3 pieces to make a portal. All right, so we get there. He merges the 3 pieces and makes a portal.
Now we got to take them apart.
Yeah, it's like, now we got to take it apart, or we got to dive into it and then take it apart. Mm-hmm. And it was like, all right, so we did all that. And then there's still movie. So what was the end point? What was the actual... Where's the end zone? Where's the end zone of this movie?
Yeah.
That's the big fault that I have, is like, I didn't feel like there was an actual end zone. There was more story, there was more backstory, which for a lot of characters that explained a lot of their missions.
Yep.
But there wasn't a final goal. Because like for me, to make that feel like a completed goal would be, all right, Darkseid came through the portal.
Yeah.
And then everybody has to beat up Darkseid. That would have been if they did that.
There was no real climax. There was no real we're at the moment. I didn't have this is the moment throughout the entire movie. I was like, is this going to be the moment?
Because it carried
Cyborg's dad died.
Yeah.
Is that the moment that I'm supposed to feel something? I didn't feel anything throughout this movie.
You know what it is?
Unfortunately, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was gonna say, you know what it is? So the way we're used to seeing it, and Marvel does it, is so you cross the hurdle, you end the movie, and then you have a cut scene of like Thanos, and they did that like 3 or 4 times, like over a 10-year period, right? So you knew that this story was over, but there's more story. And so what they did was they
but that's a bonus. That's a bonus.
It's a bonus, and it's after some credits, so you've already cooled down. What they did was they took the end of the movie, the resolution, which was chopping off dude's head, and then immediately put the cutscene in of Darkseid going, okay, well, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way, assemble the Armada, and that was the cutscene.
And
then they kept having more movies.
That's Age of Ultron with Thanos going, I'll do it myself, and just putting on the gauntlet.
Yes. Yep.
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
But my issue with this, like, not even watching it as a comic book movie, right? I'm completely divorcing the fact that this was ever a comic book, I'm just coming into it not knowing shit, right?
As a movie. Yep.
Right.
If you follow a writer's guide, you're supposed to have your hero who has a goal. And on their way to their goal, there are little conflicts that crescendo into a climax. And then it falls to epilogue.
Because
Can anyone tell me where the climax was in this movie?
Yeah, it was when Chris Pine
carries over all of the mistakes.
Where's my damn taser?
as good as it was, it still carried over a lot of the mistakes that were made in the Whedon cut. Well, there were plot holes that.
But I don't think that was the Whedon cut, because all the stuff that you could tell was touched by Whedon was like he tried to bring some of that Avengers
like humor
campiness to it, that campiness, and they took that out because there was no more jokes being made except for one joke made by Batman, but like there wasn't like a ton of jokes. Like he was like snarky. I was like, when is Batman in the Whedon one? He was like real snarky. I was like, what is this? Like, and he was smiling a lot. Like he was like, hey, I'm Batman. Like I'm like, wait a minute, bro. Like
he's like, yeah, we're all gonna die, but we're having a great time doing it.
Because I'm Batman.
Yeah.
But that was my other issue with the movie, and I'm gonna say it, and y'all can all just cam me down if you would like. Birds of Prey made me more interested in their characters than this movie did.
Well, and let's remember,
because Jason has to collect himself.
Sorry, Jason.
I repeat, so Birds of Prey.
Don't kill the man.
Hear me out. When you were watching the movie, I was genuinely interested in who the fuck is Black Canary? She seems cool. I think I would want to watch a movie that stars Black Canary. For better or for worse, whether
I would like to watch a movie that starred Black Canary too. I wish they had made one. Like,
and that's fine, but you wanted that. If you were to just watch this movie, right? Not know shit about comic books, and this was the first of the Justice League, because this happened before all of the side stories, right? This is before we got Aquaman. We still haven't gotten a Flash. We haven't gotten a Cyborg movie at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me one of those characters, if you didn't know shit about shit, who would you want to watch another movie about? None of them
honestly
gave me anything except for Flash. Flash, I was like, okay, this guy's a little interesting. He's a little funny. He has a cool backstory. I didn't give a shit about Cyborg. Sorry.
I love the story they built for him, because when I say there was none of this in the Whedon cut, like Cyborg was like,
he was in there for 5 minutes.
And that was it. Like he had no backstory. He was just like black guy here, and then like
I had an
like,
accident.
I can control things because I'm a robot man, and that was as far as you got.
Even with his backstory, I feel like they said like I feel like it was someone telling his backstory. Like if I told you Nick's history, you would know who Nick is, but do you know Nick? No, and that doesn't make you want to know more about him. Does that make any sense? It felt more like here's my tragic backstory. What next?
Right. Yeah. That's the thing is there wasn't anything built with Cyborg. I love that they gave him his backstory.
Yes.
I love the relationship they finally showed with his father in the live action universe. Yeah. Like that was awesome because when I say none of that was in the original cut, like he was background as all get out. And it was, I could see why he was upset. Like he was like, yo, they ain't, I got whole scenes that I shot. A lot of these shots were in the original trailers.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Justice
but we're
League.
not
like,
in the movie.
That were
or
not
cut
in the
for time.
movie. None of that football scene, none of like the dad dying, none of that was in the movie.
In the original one, the dad survived. And I actually have a question on this. So in the original one, at the end of the movie, it's him and his dad all in the lab, like trying to figure things out and laughing and being father and son. In this one, he sacrifices himself and he does it to tag the isotope inside the box so that it could be tracked. Could Batman's technology or Cyborg's technology not see a giant energy field in the middle of Russia? They couldn't figure that one out. They needed to actually tag the box.
I thought that was. Here's where I know exactly what you're talking about because I felt like of all people, Cyborg should have been able to track it because he's made out of the same mother box.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Literally the same technology.
I'm just thinking a heat signature all of a sudden spiking in Siberia seems weird.
He doesn't need he don't even need the he literally could ping it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He's like, oh, it's over here.
Once again, that's the issue with having a 4-hour, and once again, I'm not trying to harp on it as in I watch The Lord of the Rings for fun. I have no problem with long movies.
Yeah.
But when you have such a long when you have such a long movie where you have yet to establish any of the characters and you're trying to cram it all into one, you lose the moment. So what Snyder was probably trying to do was give Cyborg a moment so you could feel for the character. But
that
since I'm hammering it into you in one movie, it loses its impact.
Yeah.
He could have had a whole separate movie to himself.
Yeah. When
those clips would have made a great his story that they shot in this would have made a great origin story.
Yeah.
Yes.
For Cyborg, and then when he comes over to the Justice League, there wouldn't have been much needed conversation, and you'd be like, "Oh man, Cyborg's in this too."
That points to DC's flaw in wanting to do the Avengers movie first, and then do the solo movies after.
One argument.
It's a desire to do so much. It's like they literally want to blow their load immediately because that's what I felt about Batman v Superman. I was like, that's 2 movies.
Yeah.
Like you could have just done Batman v Superman. They become friends. Now they got Wonder Woman. Now they friends. Because it would have been, you didn't even have to make a Batman movie. You could have just had Man of Steel started off. Cool. Yeah. Love Man of Steel. Then you give me Wonder Woman as the next movie. All right, let's go. We're good. Give me Batman v Superman without Doomsday. Literally just have the fallout, like introducing Batman in Batman v Superman, and then seeing Superman from his point of view. They beef it up, and then they go arrest and take out Lex.
Atomic Skull. They could have fought anybody else except Doomsday.
Doomsday should have been
the 3rd movie, the 4th movie.
Should have been
Phase 4.
Justice League. Honestly, Doomsday should have been after Justice League because that would have shown how powerful Doomsday really was. Because just like they did in the comics, Doomsday beat up like every
League.
leaguer he saw. Like leaguers were jumping in, like, we gotta stop this menace. Oh no! And then like Batman was like, nah, cool, y'all be out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, the movies, if we were to break this into movies, right?
Yeah.
I would have loved to see the first Mother Box moment and everyone is now in Themyscira, because then that would establish Wonder Woman and give her more context, because she is home fighting for her home. They lose, fine. We go to the second Mother Box that is in Atlantis, that then establishes who the fuck Aquaman is, what's going on with him, and it further builds the team. The third one could have introduced Cyborg. Yeah. He would have had his moment with the Flash, because you're trying to
buddy cop him up.
Right. Yeah. And then that would have been it. We would have been fine.
And then
those
we
could have all been separate movies. Those could have been all separate movies. And then Justice League could have been Steppenwolf coming in,
the big
gathering, wrecking them,
going
to all their pretty much into their movies and wrecking them and taking the Mother Box from all of them, collecting it. Then they're like, yo, bro, I got robbed. You too? Yo, so did Cyborg. Yo, let's go get this fool. And then
yep. And then that would have been fine.
That showdown.
But we didn't get that. We got everyone circle jerking.
Right. And remember that the Whedon cut and the Snyder cut is all based off of the source film that was shot originally by Zach Snyder. So this was, sins of the past. I mean, basically he was working with what he had already shot, and maybe he was in a different headspace. Maybe he was trying the studio's thought process and strategy was different, and then that's all been blown to hell since then. So the way it was constructed, the way the script was constructed, the way everything was being shot and stitched together, it goes back to my original question, which was if this was his original vision, then they were trying to do other things, but that time has passed. So it's almost like it's a time capsule. It's out of context now with everything else that was set in motion. So it leaves us with a bit of questioning of everything. So you almost have to look at this as a standalone movie. And just to go back to the dream sequence thing for a second, because I had some time to think about he's seeing things that Batman's seeing things that he couldn't have seen, but he is the detective. He can piece things together and extrapolate, and in his subconscious, if he's going forward through it. No, Jason's saying
no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
My issue with what you said was, where the fuck did Batman display any detective work that entire movie?
Oh yeah, that's true. He was more vigilante in the movies. Okay, I'm taking Batman comic book.
You're still worried about the detective work. When did he become clairvoyant enough to tap into the possible future?
He goes into his Sherlock mind palace.
I don't care how many futures and how many worlds.
Right.
Never brought us together.
You are giving him too much credit. He let the farm get foreclosed. He didn't even have enough foresight and knowledge and detective work to save his homie's family from being homeless.
But they
he has
an Alfred. And Batman was not on his A game. It's that 50 years. He getting a little rusty. That's what it is. And when Clark got on his farm and was like, as many times as I've saved these motherfuckers, they got my where? You what?
But then on top of that, they wanted to give you a little bit of Dark Knight, where he had his tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the mutants phase, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What era is this? Because you totally was trying to push that with Batman v Superman, but then no. Where are we going with this? He should not have. If anyone to have that ability to see any of this, the only person I'll give you two people who could see this as a possibility. The Flash, because he's just learning his powers, and his body and his subconscious could probably tap into the Speed Force without him even knowing. Because he even was, if you watch how he played him, how he was portrayed, he was going into the Speed Force without even knowing he was going into the Speed Force, and was like reversing stuff and like didn't realize.
And he even says it. I have to move faster than I've ever moved before.
Mhm.
I have to move the moment back.
Yep.
Right.
And Jesus Christ, with that statement, would it have not been more impactful if we had a Flash movie prior to this where he did it by accident and fucked some small shit up? And he was like, damn, I'm never doing that again. It's a rule for a reason.
Right.
And then he has to do it in this movie correctly.
You just get it in two lines of dialogue where he's like, I call it the Speed Force, and I have a rule where I never have to move fast as he's eating a pizza.
And you've all seen the CW show, so you're fine.
I wanted them to scream. I wanted Batman to just look at just one time. I would have given this movie an A+ if at one time while he was running, Batman just said, "Run, Barry, run," and like I'd have been like, "Yeah, buddy."
First of all, I'm not a big Barry Allen fan.
All of the sins. I forgave all the sins. They literally, if they had said "Run, Barry, run," and like somebody just like Batman immediately turned to Cyborg and called him the N-word with a hard R, I'd be like, you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes, Batman just get be mad. He's like, "You robotic nick,"
And then he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm old."
Do you know
it was a different time.
I'm from the old days.
It was a different time.
What literally made my eye twitch is when they're all standing around the mother box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like, all right, I'm not going to say we need him, but come on, y'all. We all need Superman. Wonder Woman is the daughter of Ares.
Zeus. In this movie, she's the daughter of Zeus.
Yeah.
Fuck that idea. She's the daughter.
Oh, and if her daddy had been there, he could have beaten Darkseid. They pointed that out.
Who they even said, you have the blood of the ancient gods. I am afraid of you. And this bitch went, where's Superman? What? Are you kidding me?
She's like, I need a man.
And it's not even about it being
I need a strong man.
I need a strong man that can headbutt me into the ground, if you know what I mean.
Like feminism, like women shouldn't need men. But if you're raised on an island of literal warriors and have shown to have a connection to actual ancient deities that previously whooped this man's ass, which is why he's even here, and he's telling you, I am afraid of you. Why the hell are you looking for Clark Kent?
Yep.
Because the
script
said so.
Yeah.
Fuck the script.
No.
I'm with you. But you know what though? You know what though? I ain't gonna front. I did like how Superman showed up though.
That was awesome.
That was fly. That was all the way fly. Like there's still fly moments. The movie is still a fun movie to enjoy. It's not a perfect film. It's not a perfect film.
No film is gonna be perfect.
Right.
Is it better than the original theatrical? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it is. It's a lot more enjoyable. The story makes a lot more sense. Girl, if you mad now,
I don't want to watch.
I need you to. I need you after this. I need you to watch the Whedon cut, and you're gonna be like, "What is this? What is this highlight reel?"
I don't even know what I'm watching.
When we get off this call, I'm gonna go watch a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie because that makes sense. It's concise. There's character development throughout it.
There's a climax. There's like a
right. I can now watch it and be like, ooh, are they actually the blonde witches as opposed to the Scarlet Witch? It gives it all new context. It's beautiful. Chef's kiss.
You're not watching that. You're gonna go watch the new Star Trek reboot movies. You're going to. You know why?
Why?
Because
you want to do it.
Chris Pine is in it.
I hate it.
I was gonna say it, but like my blackness held me back. Was like, no, you don't want to do that. Like no black man.
It's like,
no, that's self-preservation because Bria will kill you too.
One thing I do want to give credit to this this version of really, like I said earlier, it did a really good job of setting up the next movies that were coming. Like if I'd seen this,
but are they?
If I'd, well, and it also did a good job of setting up other characters. Like I don't know if you like Jason, you might have picked up on this because I know you're a big DC fan. The guy who takes over Star Labs and is now in charge of their micro division.
Yes, I was like, yo, I freaked out. I was like, yo, are they gonna make an Atom movie?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yo, if they make the Atom, well, at the same time, will it be fun like Ant-Man?
No,
I doubt it.
I doubt it. It'll be dark and brooding, and Ray Palmer will end up killing people by shrinking them, or I don't know.
Is he gonna shrink
go up dark side
1 foot?
But that's the other issue that I found with this movie, right? It was so much brooding with very little chance at a last moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it started to feel like fireworks. You know how when you watch fireworks, they're pretty for like a good 5 minutes?
Yeah. And
then after that, you're kind of looking at your watch like, okay, when is it going to be over?
Yeah.
I never got a chance to breathe.
Where's the finale?
Entire movie.
And,
it was creepy Norwegian girl singing, Batman looking in the mirror like, oh no, my death. Diana's looking for a man somewhere because hers died. And then Cyborg's dad went finito. Like, give me a moment of, okay, I can breathe.
Even in, what am I thinking? Not Endgame, Infinity War, where we all kind of knew where it was going, and we all were watching it, and they were all watching it, and that sort of feeling of being just behind the 8 ball, coming up with plans, there were still tonality changes throughout that writing and throughout that journey that gave you that breath, that
it's
just
a palate
moment.
Cleanser. The
palate cleanser, okay, all right, back to it, and you're right. The vision and the style choice that was made was unyielding. It was unyielding. I'm sorry. It was constant, and it was one note, which
heavy.
It was heavy,
and it was meant to be. And for that, I appreciate it. I do appreciate that tone change because DC has, for me, always been the darker, grittier, I should say, comic series as opposed to like a Marvel.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back like Detective Comics, like when it was like noir, like when it, so I appreciate that, but you're right. It doesn't give you, it is, I told Ramon, I was like, this is a slog. It is not a bad
Where's
slog.
the hope? Where's the motherfucking hope?
Well, it's not even about the hope. It's heavy without a reward.
Yes.
As an audience member, if I'm carrying this movie right on my back, when the heroes finally reach that crescendo, that's supposed to make me feel like, oh, we did it, guys.
And they
not at all. We didn't.
And they behead what's his name. Yeah, and they behead what's his name, and that's it. And they immediately go, no big deal. We'll kill them with our fleet. And they don't give you that reward either. Yeah, right there.
So I thought when they said that, I was like, oh, we're about to see Darkseid send his boys real quick. Oh, this is the end of the movie.
Exactly.
Hell, let's go 6 hours. Let's go.
Right.
We've been here for 4.
I'd have been there for it, though. I'd have been there for it if they were if they had a button that said, do you want the story to continue?
Yeah.
I was like,
fuck it, we're already here.
It very much was. It was very much a choose your own adventure story where we got to see what Whedon would have done with it. We got to see what Snyder would have done with it. But the story just kind of like, and I'm not complaining because as a nerd, I felt like I had to watch that. I had to sit through. I had to sit through the 4 hours.
I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I still overall enjoyed the movie. Don't get it wrong. But I would have to take this, and I know it's not even fair, but this is how the dice roll. I would have to compare the structure of this film to the structure of Avengers. Yeah. Because it's both a team.
Yeah.
It's a Marvel's team up movie. This is DC's team up movie.
They're direct competition. That's like not comparing McDonald's to Burger King. It's just a reality.
Right. And the thing is, you can watch Avengers as a standalone and it still be a movie. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it holds its own as a film.
Mhm.
So you can watch and then but you get all those notes. You get all those notes even when the big battle is done. You know, like the team up pose on Loki, like, you know, like they you know, they did their thing and they were like everybody, and they even showed it visibly. Everybody was exhausted. Everybody was exhaling because like when Tony was falling and Hulk went and grabbed him and it was like he's dead. He's like he's like I'm up. You know, like and then it changed the tone.
Yes.
Like everything's wrecked. And they're like, even Tony was like,
but it's over.
We did it.
Yeah,
we did it,
but
guys.
It's over.
It's
Yeah.
over, guys.
Over.
But that's how I knew that there was something wrong. Not like I knew that there was something wrong with the movie.
Mm.
I became aware of how heavy the movie had become because I'm a big crier. Like I can put on Lilo and Stitch right now. I'll bawl like within 3 minutes. Like, oh my gosh, he's going into DHS. You don't understand the stripe of a woman of color. Not once during that entire movie did I feel a visceral reaction, and that's because I have been feeling heavy the entire time.
Now I give you this. They really wanted to let you know this was going to be a different film by showing that Themyscira scene like in early on. I was like, yeah, this feels like a whole different movie. I was like, oh, and I kept saying, I'm literally talking to Danae. I'm like, that's not in the movie. That wasn't in the movie. That wasn't in another movie. And I was like, this is exciting. And one of the things they also did, which irked me in the Whedon one, but I accepted it because, you know, I know enough of the lore and all the how characters react in Gotham and all that other stuff. You kind of fill in the gaps because you already have a basis to fix those plot holes. But one of the things was like they were mistaking Batman for a parademon. At least in this version, they kind of explained it because a person was attacked by or saw a parademon, saw that it had wings, it was dark, it had just these glowing eyes, and just like stuff dangling off it. It could have been the limbs or whatever.
Oh,
so they thought that was Batman, and when they did that sketch, it was like a sketch that could be anything, but if it's in Gotham, you look at it, you're like,
There you go. That's Batman. Yeah.
it was Batman.
yeah.
But
And like
the way
they
they
even
could've
explained that.
Yeah.
cleared it up would be if Bruce was in Gotham and saw someone getting attacked by a parademon, jumped in to stop it, and people mistook him for one of the parademons.
Listen,
That would have given us
That
what it
actually was in
In the Whedon cut.
the Whedon version.
okay, hold on. Pause. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No,
because you didn't
but
see
here's the
that
thing.
fucking
They didn't
scene.
do any of
We're
that.
not going to talk about poor execution. We're talking
Here's the
about
problem
just
with
in
that.
general.
But here's the problem with that scene. In the Whedon one, they give you that for explanation on why someone would be confused with it.
Mhm.
But they didn't show you the rest of it on how someone.
So you need it both.
You would
Yeah.
need
It
both of
sounds
those
like.
parts for make that
Yeah.
feel
Listen,
100% complete.
no, I hated that. Let me tell you how much I hated that fucking scene. Batman and Robin to me was a more consistent fucking story than the Whedon cut of fucking Justice League. Let me tell you why. You had Batman, whose voice sounds like broken glass. That's how they've described his voice in the comics, right? Like if broken
Christian
glass,
Bale Batman.
if broken glass could speak, that's what Batman is supposed to sound like, right? You had the man that inspired so much fear in everybody else that the Yellow Lanterns came down and said, "Hey, here's a ring because you definitely should be one of us." And he's like, "No, I don't need it.
I don't need you. I don't need you.
I don't need you." You have the man who inspired so much fear in the Gotham underworld capture a villain, try to scare the shit out of him just to attract, because the parademons in the Whedon version were attracted to fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I didn't say bring all that part into it. I'm just saying,
right.
having
have
an interaction between a parademon and Batman. Perfect example: Justice League War. In the beginning of Justice League War, Batman was taking on a parademon in Gotham, and or was chasing this parademon around, trying to figure out where this thing came from, and people were like, "That's Batman, isn't it?" Because they were both on the rooftop jumping. It was dark at night, and there's wings and things flying and explosions. Everybody's like, "That's usually Batman. He's always on the roof blowing stuff up."
He's always doing some weird shit.
He's always doing too much.
A million things out of his belt. I don't know why.
But I'm always a fan of show in movies rather than tell in movies, especially when you're telling me that I'm going to be sitting here for 4 hours. You can show me it as opposed to turning around and going, "Hey, now we're going to go to this scene."
Yeah, it's like the premise of having to explain a joke. The joke wasn't funny. It's the same. It's the same idea where you're working in a visual medium. If you have to turn around and write 2 pages of exposition to explain what just happened, you didn't film it right.
And that ultimately is my issue with the Wonder Woman theme music. And I make a lot of jokes about it. But if you have to give me a song score for me to know that this is a powerful character, right? I'm like, does everyone all the other characters be like, "Girl, turn that down"?
You were just gonna have like an oboe come in and just do a single
Does she
note?
have the?
Am I the only one that like that though? I like that theme.
I think you gotta have. Yeah, I
think
it
gets overdone.
All right, not every time. But whenever she comes in to wreck shop, you know what I mean? You not every fight. Like she can come in and wreck shop every fight, but those crucial moments,
then just make it the superhero crescendo that is in every superhero movie when they wreck shit. Crescendo moment gone. Every time this woman opened a door,
it's a music video.
Yeah. She takes a shit. Come on.
She should probably get that checked out if that's what's happening every time.
And you don't feel it in the Wonder Woman movie because it's a Wonder Woman movie. So you're just assuming, that's just the soundtrack to the movie. But it becomes so jarring if every second in a 4-hour movie, she's the only one that gets music when she opens her
the
mouth.
reason why is because she was the only one with recognizable music except for Superman. When Superman showed up and his Man of Steel theme started to play, it was him coming back in his black suit and it was
that was a crescendo moment. That wasn't Superman.
No, that's what I'm saying.
To the bodega.
If they only used it for say the last battle when she was like, you know what, I'm done with all this nonsense. And then all of a sudden, then I'd be like, all right, cool.
But you're going to tell me it wasn't overdone in the 4-hour cut. That was ridiculous. That could have been an album.
The music
by itself.
The music this time around was way better because the Danny Elfman, because that's what Whedon used for the Whedon cut. He used Danny Elfman. And Danny Elfman, I love Danny Elfman, but
okay, all right.
No. Listen, classic Batman, Danny Elfman, phenomenal. But whatever,
Spider-Man as well.
Jason was just about to go widescreen and come at you,
right?
No, but they, yes, they butchered Wonder Woman. They seem to do that just at the core of how they present her. There seems to be a flaw.
She doesn't even feel like, so from the first moment of Themyscira, right? And we all agree that was an amazing moment, right? You got to see those women really scrap. It wasn't cute. They were actually fighting, actually dying. Beautiful.
Daughters of Themyscira.
You're trying to tell me that you could pluck Wonder Woman, put her there, and it would fit.
No, I think it would fit too well in a way where she wouldn't stand out.
The Themyscirans were more.
I feel like they would have told her to go sit down. Like, Diana, you do too much. I hear music every time you open your mouth. Bye.
And the only reason that wouldn't happen is that same trope of the one or the chosen one, where she happens to be the daughter of so and so and what's its, and because of that, she is somehow special and elevated, and that is the only reason that she gets her own movie. Yeah,
but she doesn't feel
right.
So there's two ways that you can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can either do, wow, clearly this person is the chosen one, right? Or you make them average enough where they're struggling with the fact that they are the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are relatable. Both of them are iconic. Cool, we get it. Diana doesn't fit either category.
No, she's just a millennial.
She's just feminism. She's just white feminism.
Yeah.
Go forth and conquer.
Yeah.
Like,
I like
the mighty Karen.
You just killed
the
my
field.
You just killed me. Right.
And it sucks because I love warrior women. I like seeing.
What did you call her in your article? What did you call her in your article?
Titty Captain America. That's all that she is. And at least Captain America, like, there's a little bit of grit to him. He's like, no, I came and I was weak, and now I'm fighting and I'm becoming stronger. I have a cute butt, and Black Widow wants some.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I'm fight against the establishment. Fuck you, Tony. Diana doesn't give a shit.
No, she's like, I just want a job in a museum.
My life's not very interesting at all.
But that's my issue with all the characters. I have yet to really feel like any of the characters have grown.
No.
In the DCU. None of them give me, damn, we can look at A movie and B movie and see how the arc has changed this character.
Shazam was good.
Shazam was great.
But that's a standalone.
Aquaman was good too. I don't care what anybody says. I enjoy
Aquaman went from being a cool guy on land to being a cool guy underwater. Next,
Aquaman was underwater Wakanda.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
He was the Wet Panther. Like,
he was the what?
Scuba Panther.
He was the what?
he
was the wet ass panther.
The wet ass panther.
He was wet.
He was sitting. Oh, imagine him doing a video like, wow.
All right, see, now you're gonna make them girls sing. That's what the girls should have been singing.
In that tone?
Right.
In that style?
No.
Can you please do that whole song for us right now? That would be great.
But
I'm trying to get our views on YouTube up. Please do that.
Cyborg, we got his character growth in like 30 minutes of them hammering me with his story.
Yeah.
Bruce is becoming more family oriented, I guess. Yeah. He's chilling out. That's his growth. What the hell is Clark doing? Clark died.
Clark was dead and came
back. And they were like, what are you changing? Nothing.
Do you believe?
Okay. Clark did not change.
No.
At least in Marvel, and I hate comparing the two, but since we're doing it, you can look at Tony's first scene and the scene where he died and feel that there are two very different Tonys that are existing. Chris Evans.
And if you didn't shed a fucking
perfect
tear.
example, you just need, like, everybody rags on Iron Man 2 and 3, and I love Iron Man 2 and 3 because they show character growth.
Yes.
And I noticed a lot of these newer fans don't like these newer, like, movie, pop culture fans do not like character growth. They just like want the flash and they want the explosions.
In front of them.
Right.
They want to feel it without knowing it's happening.
And that's these kids these days. And get
but,
off my lawn.
But with Iron Man, it was the narcissist who accepts the role as Iron Man. Iron Man 2 was him, mainly being Iron Man all the time, like him, like becoming and living as Iron Man. And I like the third one because it's not about Iron Man; it's about becoming Tony Stark.
Yeah,
because he lost himself in the character of Iron Man. Yes,
right. Because in 2, he stopped being Tony Stark and started being just the Iron Man. And I love the one conversation. I believe it was in Civil War, where him and Cap We're
at the mansion.
Hawkeye's.
Oh yeah, at the farm. Yeah, that was Civil War.
And he was like, you would never, like, he was like, Cap was like, you'll never make that sacrificial play. You'll never make that big play. And then Tony was like, you'll never, live for, like, pretty much live for yourself. You will never love yourself and all that stuff. And then by the end of Endgame, they both did exactly what the other one said they wouldn't do. Like, Tony did that big play and sacrificed himself for the greater good. And then, like, Cap actually went back to Peggy to show that he wanted to live a real life. You know what I mean? And I love that.
It's showing a level of foresight that Marvel shows, and why they have somebody that looks at all of the universe and coordinates the entire thing.
That's the difference.
And that's what DC's.
They don't have a Kevin Feige.
But what pisses me off about DC, right?
They have that.
Their animated movies,
not a good one.
Thank you,
are so layered and thoughtful. You could literally just take it frame by frame and make it a live action movie, and it would make sense. If you want to change it tonally, good. Do that. Do whatever you want to do. Put a sepia tone over it. Do it all in black and white. I could give less of a shit. But
they made the best Green Lantern movie ever with Green Lantern First Flight. That was the best Green Lantern. Like, they gave him his origin. You watch him grow as a person, and then at the end, he becomes a true Lantern. You see the growth of the character. Like,
but you don't see any of that in their movies, and that's the thing that kills me. They're animated.
And they have an animated universe that they just recently ended. It started. It started with Flashpoint. It started with Flashpoint, and then they kept it within that same animation style. It was done on purpose.
And
they did all
Justice League Dark War
movies, all the Justice League movies.
Yeah,
like every now and then they peppered in a standalone, like Superman and the Elite and like all this other stuff. But there was a certain animated universe, and then they ended it with Justice
Apocalypse War. Apocalypse War. They ended it with
and they even ended it the same way they could have ended this by making Flash run, Barry. Like, because they could have had this movie end with Flash running, and you wouldn't even have to worry if there's going to be a sequel or not, because just him running just answers and complete it. He is literally the period at the end of the sentence. But him running into a portal wearing that armor, boom, I'd have been like, all right, cool. It's a complete story.
The thing with the animated universe, right, is that as you're watching, it's like a gajillion films. I binged it and I want to say a week because I have a life outside of watching things.
Lord.
I have a son, so that I watched all of them.
Yeah. So,
that's combining the two.
But after each one, I was like, ooh, I can't wait until the next one. There has yet to be a single DC movie, with the exception of Shazam, that made me go, oh shit, when is the next one coming out? Is there anything that I can read in between time? I was like, can it end? Is it can we get a period? No, we're gonna keep okay. Yeah. And that's sad.
The only one that honestly
I was like, I'm good. This is a movie.
No, there was two that felt solid enough for me that were just good movies from beginning, good enough movies from beginning to end. And that was Man of Steel and the first Wonder Woman. The development of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman fell apart at the end for me.
Yeah. Okay, we're not gonna talk about that whack third act battle.
That third act, yeah.
That third act battle, that Hogwarts battle that she had. Because, like, why did they keep his mustache? Like,
literal God of War, literal God of War, and I'm sitting there laughing at him.
Teacher. Why he look like a substitute teacher though? Like, I was like,
I got a better question.
Where's your homework?
Why in Wonder Woman 2 or 84 did they make the final scene a Lifetime movie at Christmas?
Because they do it, and I don't know why.
Help themselves. They can't help themselves.
I remember watching that movie, and we had family over. We were all excited to watch that movie, and we were like, "What?" Like
Nope.
afterwards, they're like,
You ever-
Thanksgiving's ruined.
Yeah. Have you guys ever gone to see a play and you're watching and you know it's a good play because you're into the play, right? And you know a bad play, you know when you're watching a bad play when you're like, oh man, look at the set pieces, man, they look really good.
When you start
This lighting guy is on
appreciating the
point.
80s aesthetic
yeah,
more than the movie. 'Cause I
And
grew
that
up
was
in
Wonder
era.
Woman
I'm an old man.
84.
See, I'm dying.
if anyone has ever watched
You
the
need that
movie
COVID
with
shot.
Yeah, right.
me, you would know
I
that
gotta
I
stay
am.
away from this stuff.
If you've ever watched a movie with me, you know I'm famous for pausing it, turning to you and going, so we're just gonna okay that? Or will
Yeah,
I okay this is happening? All right. No, it is.
Like the mall scene.
like,
and
come
we
on,
gotta
movie.
fly the plane.
Come on, movie,
Yo,
we're
I'm
right
so
here. We're
tired
watching
of
the
the
same thing.
Plane.
The mall scene had the little black girl in it, and she was like, "Hey, black girl." Black girl was like, "Hey, Wonder Woman." I was like, "What? Like, why? Take out the villains. There's robbers here. There's
No. I'm still stuck on old boy being able to get in a plane in a museum. It had fuel in
Because
it.
it
and
has
it
fuel.
take off.
Fuel.
And that's how it became
Okay.
visible.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna tell you now. I paused the movie at that point, and I was like, I called BS, and everybody was like, "Why?" I was like, "There shouldn't
It's
be
a
any fuel.
museum piece.
No live fuel.
There
No
should be an
live
engine.
ammunition. No live fuel in museum." That is like,
Yeah.
what?
What if there's a fire?
And then why are you flying through fireworks? Like,
because it's
what?
cinematic and they need that for their lifetime reel.
And the plane that is 70 years new technology to him, he just knew how to perfectly fly.
Yeah. Well,
And-
it's all the same.
Do you know what the DC moment was for me when I was truly like, I'm done. This is the end. When in Batman versus Superman, they both realized that their mother was named Martha.
Yeah.
Literally in the movie, I looked around and everyone took out their phone and was like, this nigga bullshit. Are you serious? I was
I
out like,
I
no.
see,
You can't.
'cause I know some of you. Some of you guys used to do the premieres and all that stuff, and like
Yeah.
I had went for that, and I was with actually other critics friends. We were sitting there, and when they did that, our whole line in the theater, and it was only private. It was like they made it super exclusive. It was like 20 or 30 of us. We were like, we heard the Martha thing. We were just like, nope, nope.
I'm out.
You took me out of the movie.
Miss.
You took me out of the movie.
And
Like,
the sad
stop it.
part is that somebody at DC is going, you know what, we're going to get them this time. We're going to get them.
Well,
They probably didn't even do the math. They didn't do the knowledge. They don't know that 1 + 1 = 4.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take lazy writing and we're gonna make it a poignant moment.
I think what too hurts DC is the fact that they're like one of the biggest reasons why this movie had to be pushed out to fuck Snyder and his situation and whatnot was because there were 2 DC executives that were trying to meet a payday goal.
And that's trash.
And that happens. That happens.
Sure.
I've been
It's
in
a
that
business.
situation, working on either games or projects and stuff where it's like, it don't matter. We just got to get it out there. I'm like, but it's not ready. But we got to get it out there. I'm like, all right. And then everybody be like, why didn't it work? I'm like, because we had to get it out there. That's what y'all kept saying. Like, what?
But there's a difference between putting a burger out that like is missing pickles and then putting a burger out that's just a sesame seed. And that's what I feel like DC has been doing. They've just been tossing sesame seeds at us. Like, eventually you'll get full and shut the fuck up. No.
What they did was they kept giving us the buns, and then finally they gave us some meat, and we was like, "Oh snap!" That's what this is. This is the meat.
It's
but
almost
it's
like
they gaslit us.
They gaslit us. Exactly. We are gaslit.
Here's the
This
thing,
is
though.
Stockholm syndrome of movies.
Here's the thing, though. You put together a plan, you put together a release and a production schedule, and you say you have to follow this schedule, and then the artists start getting behind, or they start rewriting and they start shooting themselves in the foot. However it happens, if they start pushing back the date indefinitely, to use the example, you're in a fast food restaurant, they come over and they go, listen, the chef in the back is going to take a few more minutes to prep the lettuce. You know what I mean? Like if they came out and told you that, you would lose your mind, right? And you would leave. So if you put it in that sense, they're trying to feed a consumerist culture, and the consumerist culture is trying to get what they want. And at the end of the day, if you've made a promise of a release date, which you have to do to promote it, you may have to compromise because you have to hit that end date.
But you know what I say to that? Get a new fucking chef. If you're consistently having this issue where you're putting out subpar food, you have angry customers, clearly something's wrong with management, and you need to get a new chef. In other words, get a new fucking director. DC, go back and fix your bullshit. Scrap all of the movies, everything, scrap it.
Yep.
Flashpoint paradox us to death. Say that everything died in a fiery flames of death.
Yep.
And
but that's what they're trying to do now with Flashpoint.
Yep.
Flashpoint. Whenever DC had an issue, they'd be like, it would either be a Crisis.
Oh yeah.
Or Flashpoint. But like Crisis was their go-to. They'd be like, all right,
hit that button.
All right, stuff's getting stupid.
Reset.
Crisis.
And that's why
like it was always some type of crisis, whether it was 2 Earths, multiple Earths, infinite Earths. There was always a crisis. And then all of a sudden they were like, New 52.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, wait. Did that not work?
This ain't working
either. Rebirth.
Crisis. Rebirth. Like, they're just like...
Phoenix Saga. Oh, we can't do that one.
They're getting ready to do it again. They're getting ready to do it again in the comics.
But the one thing that I urge DC to do is to just pick it and stick it, no matter what direction you go in. If the whole thing was going to be a Snyderverse, then give me.
I'm fine with that.
Give me Robin that's actually transgender and his parents died while he had to watch them make out. Give me all that. Just don't keep playing with us, because it just takes you out of the universe. If you establish rules and this is how everything's going to go, the audience is going to follow you. They don't have a choice. They will suspend disbelief. But if you keep going in and out and this is what's going to happen, but we're not really going to do it, and that's actually a standalone movie, and Joker, it just doesn't make any sense. Joker complements this movie perfectly, in my opinion. It's just dark enough where they kind of feel like they can exist in the same realm. Shazam does not make any sense with this movie.
Yeah.
They don't exist in the same world. Sorry, DC. What the best movie that you have makes no sense in this context.
Yeah. The same thing with Aquaman. Because
that Aquaman is not the same as the Aquaman that's in this movie.
Right. No. Exactly. Yep.
They're not the same person.
Yep.
And I loved Aquaman.
Yeah, because Aquaman, he was more happy-go-lucky.
He was
bad boy
jokes.
And this he was just disgruntled.
He was very bitter. He's that one dude that you hang out with that's just always bitter, and you like, bro, just have fun. We had a party, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like, give me the bottle of whiskey. No,
I'm just gonna throw my sweater to some girls that are singing outside.
Right. But Batman looked more jovial than Aquaman, and this is Batman. Childhood trauma, didn't go see a therapist, just drank away his issues. Batman was getting outbrooded by Aquaman.
He was getting outbrooded by everybody. Everybody was brooding. Cyborg was brooding.
Well, Cyborg's a teen. That's to be expected. Okay. That was just angst.
Am I the only one that just really
didn't buy that he was 19?
Yeah, he was a whole grown man. He was a whole grown man. He was on the set of Dawson's Creek with his 30-year-old behind. Like,
30-year-old.
Now, were they going for like Barry being on the spectrum?
Yeah.
Is that like a thing? Yeah. He very much felt like it. Because I've never seen Barry like this. in any
because
iteration.
Because they were trying to mix elements, and this is again a problem with DC. They were trying to mix elements of Barry Allen and Wally West. I hate Barry Allen as a character, by the way. Barry Allen is not my Flash. The Flash that I love is Wally West. The Flash that has been the Flash longest is Wally West.
Wow.
Barry Allen is a footnote in the history of the Flash. Yeah. But because they did Rebirth and they did New 52 and they reset the universe and got rid of Wally West, don't ask me the fuck why, we get stuck with Barry Allen. Mm-hmm. That was more elements of Wally West that we saw than Barry Allen.
I didn't know what was going on. Because I'm like, the whole time I'm like, you're a forensic scientist. Why are you trying to get a job at a pet groomers? Like, what? You're supposed to be this brilliant mind. And then at the very end, he was like, I got it. I was like, how? What? That was easy.
And I don't know if that was an actor choice too, because like the way he would show wonderment at his own ability, which I guess was meant to show that he's just learning it, was he would just go, and by staring off into nothing and with no visualization, with no ability to contextualize the green screen that he's looking at, he was just staring off into space and not making connections. And
at least he didn't look
that. Yeah, but he does that. And that's the actor, because he always plays this type of character in almost every role he's in. Like he never is like, I'm just.
He's like,
I don't know, man.
Please explain to me why Flash couldn't heal faster than everyone else.
Stop.
He just learned it.
No, Jason. No.
I'm giving you the answer of what the movie gave to me.
Bruce Wayne
I'm not saying it's right.
Literally turns and goes, Flash, can you hurry it up?
Mm-hmm.
Flash, like, I'm trying. You're the Flash. Like that's your thing.
Like that should happen accidentally. Because your body is creating that much energy and you have to always eat every 5 seconds.
That was Wally West.
You should be healing all the time.
Now, if he had gone, dang, I don't have anything to eat to help me speed this up, I'd be like, okay, movie, you gave me a rule. The character is sticking to it. Got it. But y'all just said, fuck all. He's fast sometimes, maybe, we don't know. But the one thing I will give his character is that even if his personality was erratic and his storyline was like, what? At least it was consistent with his character.
It was consistent within the movie, yes.
Right. Yeah. He didn't go, I'm super hyper and funny sometimes, and then next time I'm going to be looking brooding and serious and tonal.
Yeah.
He kept the, I'm zany, I don't have friends, so I'm just out here in the entire movie.
All right, I'm gonna rein us in because we're running on 2 hours and.
You're trying to rein us in.
We have 2 whole hours. We have a whole hour. We have 2
We're
whole
only halfway
left.
through the movie.
Yeah, come on.
Halfway there.
All right, so I think we could all agree a better movie than the Whedon cut.
Yes,
but not a good movie.
Not a great movie. No,
I wouldn't say not a good movie.
Serviceable.
I wouldn't say not a great movie. It's there.
Yep.
Would you watch if it was not the Snyderverse with all of its lore behind it? Would you watch it again?
Again, I'm not gonna watch it again. The fact that I came back and watched it. I mean, I watched the first one, and we were going to talk about it on this show, so I watched it.
I might give it one more again just to look for Easter eggs.
Okay.
Oh, there were Easter eggs all over the place.
That's valid.
Right, but I just want to do that to keep track of all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like that little Starro thing that covered that was Starro. I don't know if you peeped to that.
I'm gonna let YouTube do that for me. I'm not sourcing this one, and I'll let them give them.
You mean them? Those two? Because we two not doing nothing.
No, I'll just watch YouTube, and I'll let them tell me what the Easter eggs are, and I'll go, oh, okay, yeah. I saw that.
Jason, hit me up because I think I caught.
Y'all
hit me
fun.
Up because we could do that together.
Yeah, no. Yeah. On a Tuesday afternoon, this will not be getting played at my house.
No, I'm gonna tell you right now, like it as a go-to. No, I'm not jumping in and watching this. Like, as much as I enjoyed it for what it is, it's not gonna give me that constant replay because I can go back and watch any of the 4 Avenger movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I did that. I did that a couple nights ago. I was like, you know what? I haven't seen Infinity War this week.
Yep.
No lie.
It's not Star Wars where you have to watch it every 3 years if you're a fan.
Right.
No lie. This movie made me want to go watch the animated movies to go, oh, this is the story that they were trying to do correctly.
Yeah.
That's what this movie made me want to
I can see that.
So successful marketing tool though?
Oh, by all means.
Fantastic.
Lore.
Great way to get HBO Max
Jersey
subscriptions.
Devil moment.
Yeah, but I think HBO Max had me when they were like, "Oh, we're coming out with Kong and Mortal Kombat," and
I'm there for Godzilla. I love my Godzilla and I love my Kong. I'm a big kaiju nut. So like
you saw the backstory they built into that, right?
Yeah.
Their two species have been warring for generations.
Yeah, that was stupid.
The song.
I thought that was stupid. But at the same time, there's a lot that they did in those movies that they did right. But the reason why they did that is to explain why Kong is gonna have an axe made out of one of the dorsal fins of Godzilla because it's gonna be from a previous battle.
Yep.
Just saying.
Y'all are gonna be
not that Kong, but Kong's father or mother. That's tore that fin off.
Right,
because that was baby Kong in Kong Skull Island, and it finally grew up.
Oh, okay. Is that how they're explaining the size difference? Because
because it was the 70s. It was like the 60s or the 70s in Kong Skull Island, and it's now present day / future in Godzilla. So it's been like 30 plus years since
Jason,
Kong Skull Island.
We'll have you back on when we do Kong versus Godzilla.
God.
Y'all are gonna be so mad when the white woman that they're fighting over is Lois Lane and Superman comes in to save the day.
I just
Y'all gonna be so mad. Y'all gonna be so mad. Y'all gonna be like, and then they both go Martha, and then that's how the end's gonna be. That's what's gonna happen.
And then
HBO
every time Lois Lane shows up, it's going like.
At least it wasn't Mephisto.
It was Mephisto the whole time.
The whole time it's Mephisto.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Jason Richardson, Mr. J1 himself.
Ow.
We had Eric the Smoke Moran on. Big shout out to him and a thank you to him as well.
Yes.
And Bria the Professional John.
Hi guys.
Hey girl.
Hello.
Nick Vundo. Nick.
Nick.
Hey boy.
Don't Google Vundo. It's a computer virus.
Oh.
All right, folks.
All right, later.
Later.
Peace.